93. This is Amon Asheranu from asheranu.com. Today I will speak on how to become infamous. And I'm going to do so in a way that you may not expect. I'll put it that way. I'll give people a couple minutes to come in and we'll get right to it. Peace, miss. In the meantime, what promoted me to make this video? What's up, D Strutted? What's up, Morbid Clown? What's up, what's up? What promoted me to do this video is it's absolutely necessary at this point. At this point, it is absolutely necessary. And again, I'll explain everything in just a few minutes. Infamous. Let's just start with the word itself. Because once again, I want to make sure that everything that is said is mathematically and scientifically sound. I'm trying not to go too far off into space, into spookism. So let's keep it into reality. I appreciate that, sister. I appreciate that. Happy birthday to you. So definitely everybody, definitely give my sister a happy birthday. It is her birthday, the 7th. And we know the 7, the most spiritual number. Let's get into it, you know. So I want to be very careful with what I say. All right, I want to be very careful so that this is not taken out of context. Okay? Infamous. The word itself breaks down to the number 8. What's up, Erica? The word infamous itself breaks down to the number 8. For those of us who are into numerology, we already know that the number 8 corresponds to the planet Saturn. Because the number 8 corresponds to the planet Saturn, or the word infamous corresponds to the planet Saturn, this then tells us that we know Saturn to be a malefic planet. Because Saturn is considered a malefic planet, anything that involves Saturn is said to produce, you can say, hard effects, hard results. So Saturn brings, you can say, the harsh truth. Not just the truth, but the harsh truth. The perfect example would be a Saturn return. For anybody who has experienced a Saturn return, know exactly what this is about. It essentially forces you to mature, right? So it's essentially the barrier between someone being, young-minded and adult-minded is essentially the Saturn return. The Saturn return marks that definition or that line between the two mentalities. Of course, this can happen earlier for some people or later for others, depending on your own astrological alignments. So because the word infamous itself corresponds to the planet Saturn, and we know Saturn was once worshipped, as the sun is worshipped now. So just like people worship the sun today and have worshiped the sun in the past, the first sun that was worshipped was Saturn, right? Saturn is connected to the Kaaba over in Mecca in Saudi Arabia. So there's a whole energy force correlated to Saturn. But we don't have to necessarily deal strictly with Saturn because we want to take it a step further, right? We just want to lay the foundation. So if the foundation is infamy, or to be infamous, is essentially to align yourself with Saturn. If we then take it to the tarot, we understand that Saturn corresponds to the universe or the world. Because Saturn corresponds with the universe or the world, let's take it a step further. It corresponds to the Hebrew letter Tav, T-A-V. Because it corresponds to the Hebrew letter Tav, Tav is symbolized as a cross. So when we think about the Hebrew letter Tav, the image that comes up is a cross. Tav represents the four elements, or the cross represents the four elements: fire, water, air, earth. The human body is composed of these four elements. And of course, we know that there is a fifth element, but strictly dealing with the boundaries of Tav and the energies of Saturn, we want to deal with the four elements. Each of these elements hold a principle. The principle of fire would be desire. The principle of water will be emotion. The principle of air will be thought, and the principle of earth will be memory. Desire, emotion, thought, and memory. These are the four components to what is called Saturn, or the physical universe. We correspond with the physical universe through our physical body, which is composed of these four elements. So we relate to the physical experience through the four elements. We all have desires. We all feel emotion. We all think, and we all hold memory. Based on these four dimensions of thought, not four dimensions of thought, but four dimensions of nature, because these are natural forces, right? This is not necessarily something that you pre-planned beforehand. For example, you may not know what you're going to feel at 2 p.m. You just know you're going to feel an emotion. You may not know which emotion, but you're going to feel something at 2 p.m. Right? Let's take this a step further, because I'm just starting with the science and the mathematics so that we have an understanding of the infamy that I'm speaking about. Is you should have no desire to be famous. 2020 moving forward, you should have no desire to be famous. Let me explain. The purpose is to be infamous. The purpose is to have power and to remain unseen. This is the purpose. We are no longer in the time where we need to be seen, or we need to deal with people like we had to deal with them in the 20th century. We must accept that the future involves the internet. The future involves cryptocurrency. The future involves being anonymous. Originally, the internet was created to be anonymous so that you can create avatars. No one knows your actual name or your actual location. You can create an avatar. That is the purpose of the internet. The purpose of cryptocurrency is to exchange without a middle. Well, again, I don't want to say middle man because it's not necessarily a man in the middle, just a centralized exchange, aka a bank, to take out the bank in our transactions. And to be able to do so, if you don't want to reveal your identity, you do not have to. It is your choice if you reveal your identity. Okay? When you become famous, you have to reveal your location. You cannot be anonymous with anything because it is all about your face card. Your face card is your access to the world, right? If you are a famous person, then people know you by your face. So essentially, for you to cover up your face, you lose the power of fame. But what do you gain? You lose the power of fame, but then you gain infamy. This essentially is the power behind the mask. The power behind the mask is infamy. Because when you put that mask on, now you become something other than self. You become something wider. You expand your horizons. What do I mean? You may put on a mask and subtly gain courage. Because no one knows who you are. You can essentially do anything and no one can trace it back to you. There's no connection. No one's seen your face. As they say, no face, no case, right? There is no need to be famous any longer because we can do everything ourselves because we have the internet. And now we also have cryptocurrency. So you can do peer-to-peer exchanges with people and there's no need for someone to stand in the middle of that. You can do everything you need to do completely anonymous. People are becoming rich every day off of cryptocurrency. Whether they're into Bitcoin or they're into altcoins, so on and so forth, there's many different ways, there's many different dimensions to this. I'm relating all this to Saturn because Saturn activates your business mind. So when we talk about the CEO, when we talk about the business, the entrepreneuring spirit, the enterprising spirit, we can be talking about the sun, but we're also talking about Saturn because Saturn represents the big money, the grand consciousness, as we say, the universe, right? So because Saturn is the grand consciousness or the universe, once again, you have access to any dimension that you choose. And also, people have the ability to create their own followings. You can have your social media, you can create your own following, you can make yourself hot. You literally do not need anyone standing in the middle of your success. Whatever you choose to do, whether you start a business or whether you become the business yourself, whatever you choose to do with yourself, there is literally nothing standing in your way of doing it. The only thing standing in our way is people who are still trying to be famous. They're still seeking fame because that was the traditional route. Everyone has always wanted to be famous since you could be famous, right? Why not be famous? Because again, it gives you favor, it gives you certain perks and privileges in the world. So who wouldn't want to be famous? So up till this point, who wouldn't want to be famous? We all would strive to be famous in our own way, no problem. However, fame is not the future. Fame is the past. Fame actually would get you into more trouble at this point than good at this point. I'm not saying this has always been the case. Infamy is the new currency. Again, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. This is the first time this is being revealed, right? So there is no other references to what is being spoken about. Okay? I'm just revealing it to you guys first because this is the greater community. So I want you guys to understand where we are moving towards and where we are progressing towards. And once you understand the currency that you must utilize in order to gain power in the future, then you will secure and guarantee yourself success and fortune because you understand the currency that's moving forward. For example, most people are still stuck on fiat. Most people don't even understand cryptocurrency. They're still stuck on fiat. This is what I mean. So let me give you a perfect example. Most people still think money will solve their problems, right? If they only had a certain amount of money, $100, $1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, whatever the number is. If you're still thinking on fiat, that is not going to solve the problem. And let me explain to you why. See, I'm going to get real technical. Let me explain to you why thinking on fiat will not solve the problem. If we're still thinking on fiat or paper dollars, if the economy collapses, for example, and the dollar loses its value, then it doesn't matter how much of it you have if it becomes worthless, for example, right? Not saying that this is going to happen anytime in the future. However, in the example of fiat, this is where the law is. Let me explain. You have to go through many rules and regulations when you deal with fiat. When you are dealing with fiat, you have to go through all these rules and regulations, right? Signatures, IDs. You got to show your ID just to pull money out the bank, right? You have to show your ID just to pull money out the bank. This is because you're dealing in fiat, right? So because you're dealing in fiat, we have all these rules and regulations. Most people cannot touch real money because of these rules and regulations of fiat. Like, for example, to even trade or deal in Forex, they recommend you have a bare minimum of $100,000. So if you're dealing in Forex, which is exchanging currencies, the recommended bare minimum is $100,000, which most people don't just have an extra $100,000 laying around. So most people don't have access to Forex, which is a very fast way to make money, right? Because you're exchanging currency, so you can make money very quickly, but you have to have a lump sum to even get started with, right? So a lot of people exchange the currencies on leverage, so on and so forth. We don't have to get into the technicalities of finance. However, in the example I just want to offer you, we have the solutions available to us, but we have not connected the dots. So I want to help you guys connect the dots so that you can see where I'm going with this and you can see how it all makes sense. Let me continue my example. So if we are still thinking on fiat, most people cannot access real money because they don't have a large enough resource to even make serious money like that, okay? If the bare minimum is $100,000 extra on top of you already having to take care of all what you have to take care of. So the real money you can say is in Forex, and that's how it's been. And some people are into stocks and all that, but the real money, the fast money, the real money is Forex, okay? Because Forex is about trading currencies, right? All you're doing with Forex is trading currencies. So even if the dollar collapses, all you got to do is trade your currency and you're just fine. You are not dependent on one currency. You can have a variety of currencies. So you can move your money around. You are not just based on fiat. So if fiat fails, you have yen, you also have pound, so on and so forth. But the average person is not thinking on this level. They're just thinking on their local currency. Most people are still just thinking on their local currency. That's why most people don't understand cryptocurrency, right? Because they don't understand the freedom that this offers you once you do comprehend how it all works. Because even the people that do understand cryptocurrency, they don't understand infamy, and this is what I mean. Like, we have all of the pieces, but they're scattered. You got to get it from here. A little bit is over there. A little bit is over there. It's not all gathered in one space. So you have many different perspectives on this. So it's not consistent. Let me continue. So you are able to spread out your money when you deal in forex and when you exchange currencies. You are not dependent on one currency. So if one currency fails, you have many different currencies to choose from. So it really does not matter to you. Cryptocurrency is a step above that, right? So if we understand forex, we can understand cryptocurrency, right? So if the average person doesn't understand forex, they're definitely not going to understand crypto. But that's a very easy example of forex. It is not the end all be all. It's more, way more to it, but that's just a quick summary. So with that as the foundation, let's get into cryptocurrency and why that matters and how that ties into all of this infamy. Okay. Now, cryptocurrency is digital currency. So now we're not dealing with trading currencies in terms of the local currencies between different currencies. So we're not dealing with USD, and the euro and the US dollar and the pound, so on and so forth. We're not dealing in these type of currencies. Now we're dealing in coins, cryptocurrencies. Okay? Because we're dealing in cryptocurrencies or cryptocurrency as a whole. Cryptocurrency as a whole allows you complete freedom because now you do not need to offer your identity. Because when it comes to forex, you have to have your identity, right? So you have to have all these rules and regulations to even do forex, and that's what I mean. Most people are out of the loop because they don't have these regulations and all of the things you need to even be in that game, right? So you need all of these prerequisites to even be a part of forex, and that's the point that I'm making. You have to have all these prerequisites to even be a part of forex. Cryptocurrency removes all of the prerequisites you would have had to have, and it allows you to come into it with literally nothing. You don't even need a ID if you know how to properly utilize it. Now, yes, if you download like a cryptocurrency exchange on your phone on the app, they're going to ask for your ID. They call it KYC, know your customer. So if you do something through the phone, then if you want to do the comfort, you're going to have to verify it, right? But there are ways around it. But again, the purpose of cryptocurrency was to remain anonymous. So even though most people are showing their ID, that was not the purpose of it being created. We're just dealing with the purpose of it being created, because if we understand the purpose it was created for, we can know how to utilize it and correspond it with the occult, which is what we're doing now. Okay? Let's take this a step further. Because you don't need any prerequisites when you're dealing in crypto, you can literally invest and move the money around instantaneously, right? Because in crypto, you don't have the rules and regulations, meaning you don't need to flash your ID to make a deposit or make a withdrawal when it comes to cryptocurrency. So you can make your deposit, exchange your coins. So for example, you may make a deposit in Bitcoin, but let's just say you want some Ethereum. Let's just say you want, there's so many different coins. You got Bitcoin Cash, you got XRP, X, there's like at least 2,000 different cryptocurrencies, right? So there's at least, we don't have to name them all. So you can make your initial deposit in one currency and move it around and withdraw it in a different currency. You are in complete control of how that works. Prior to cryptocurrency being created, you had to go through all these rules and regulations to even do anything that I'm speaking about now. You can literally do this instantly. You can do this within minutes, within an hour, and you had to go through all these rules and regulations if you're trying to do this with Forex. But cryptocurrency allows us to do this literally instantaneously or very quickly, if not instantaneously. So why don't most people know about this? I guess most people know about Bitcoin, but they're more so just trying to invest it. They're not living off of Bitcoin, and this is the next point that I have to make. Most people know about cryptocurrency only for the money that it could potentially make them. They're not thinking about it in terms of how you can live your life strictly off of cryptocurrency, which is the goal. The goal is to live your life completely on cryptocurrency. You can do this now in 2021, but again, this is not what most people are talking about. They have no idea how you would even do that. It's possible now, but it'll be more popular and possible probably in the next 5 to 10 years. But you can do it now, but most people don't know how. But this is the future. This is where we're moving towards. This is where we're going. You're going to be able to live strictly off of cryptocurrency, so you you don't. Yeah, as you see, I really need to say this, right? So I really need to say this. So don't mind the interference. I'm going to continue to say it. You can live off of your local currency if you live strictly digitally. And when you live off of your local currency and you live strictly digitally, that makes you a sovereign. That makes you sovereign because you are not dependent upon the local currency. It could collapse tomorrow and you remain unaffected if you have cryptocurrency. You see, most people think about the end of the world because the dollar is going to collapse. See, this is most people's end of the world is when the dollar collapses. This is their doomsday. This is when everything falls. For most people is when the currency falls. That's when everything goes to hell. It does not have to be that way for you if you take heed to what's being said. And again, I'm not speaking no ill into the world. I'm just saying for most people, this is their doomsday. It's based on the currency. It's based on money. What I'm telling you is you can supersede that whole matrix and live as a sovereign if you have a full comprehension of cryptocurrency, where you're not just looking at it for the amount of money it can make you. See, most people are just investing in Bitcoin and they just let the money sit. They're not actually making transactions in Bitcoin. They're just investing in it. And again, Bitcoin is the digital gold, so Bitcoin, you have the ability to just invest in it and let it sit and it's going to grow. Bitcoin has that ability. However, Bitcoin has the daily ability that you can actually utilize it and live off of the US dollar. For example, I'm just using the US dollar. You can just apply it to your local currency if you are outside of the US. All of these potentials are available to us right now. We just have to connect the dots. But this is the reason why no one is talking about this. No one is talking about it because it actually offers you freedom. Why would someone tell you the secret and now they can't make money off of you? So, of course, why would they tell you? And again, this is why you're not going to see this anywhere. They're not going to promote this. They only want you to invest in it just to leave it and to make more money. They're not telling you how to actually use it in your day-to-day life and to actually free yourself from the local currency. They're not going that deep into it, but that is the potential. That is how we need to be thinking. That's why we're moving in that direction, because you can live essentially with a mask over your face at this point. 2020, moving forward, I told you at the beginning of 2020, you have to put on the helmet of Shin, the mask of Hades, the helmet of Hades. You put on the mask of Shin. Shin is the Hebrew letter for Pluto. This is the currency that we're moving towards. And the reason why I keep saying 2020, because 2020 was the start of a new decade. So 2020 was the foundation of what we will be facing for the next 10 years. So that's why 2020 is the emphasis. So that will be an example of what we will face for the next 10 years. So if we understand what we're moving towards in 2020, then we will understand the next 10 years. This is how we have foresight. This is how we develop our psychic ability, because we can understand the patterns. We understand that numbers matter. We understand that the planetary alignments matter. We understand that we matter. We understand that everything we do matters. Every little thing and every small thing we do matters. We're never taking ourselves or anything around us for granted. So that's why I wanted to take the time out to reveal this to you guys, because this is how you can make yourself a sovereign and gain power without depending on the local currency. All it takes is for us to upgrade our level of thought. And that's what Saturn offers us. And that's why I mentioned infamy and connected it to Saturn and the number 8 and the Hebrew letter Tau, because these are the secrets and the principles that we reveal or we get through connecting with the energy of Saturn. And that's why Saturn was worshipped in the past as the sun is worshipped today, because it offers us these darker secrets. And this is why they put, the darkness on Saturn. That's why they connect Saturn and Satan and so on and so forth. The reason why that is done, because of the power of Saturn. That's why Saturn is connected to the root chakra, so on and so forth. This is why it has a darker connotation to it, and it has a darker stigma to it, because of the potential and the power of it. So yes, it has power, but it's very heavy. It requires you to be more responsible. So that is the whole purpose of the Saturn return. So you see, everything that I'm saying, when I say to be a sovereign, that means you are taking full responsibility of yourself. That's essentially what it means. That means I am taking full responsibility for myself. I'm not putting it in the hands of my bank. I'm not putting it in the hands of any institution. I am taking full responsibility for myself. And that is essentially what you're doing when you move in the direction of cryptocurrency and moving it and using it on a day-to-day basis, because it is possible. But again, we may not actually see this occurring for the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm saying it now, and you will begin to see this more and more. Just like every day now, you're seeing people investing in cryptocurrency, and it's rising up 100%, 500%, 1,000%, 2,000% in a very short amount of time, because this is the future that people want, and the people are going to get what the people want. People want cryptocurrency. People want a decentralized currency. So that's why all this money is being poured into these coins, because this is what the people desire, and this is what the people will invest in for the short term and the long term. Because everyone is tired of being governed by a higher power, especially when it comes to their money, especially when it comes to their currency. No one wants that. So this is why all of this energy is being geared towards cryptocurrency. But again, let's get into the infamy part. Now that we understand Forex, now that we understand cryptocurrency, let's get into the infamy part. How does infamy tie into everything that was said? Because when you decide to do this, if you decide to do this, you become infamous. What do I mean? Meaning you can live with a mask. You don't ever have to reveal your identity. Again, life in today's times, you have to reveal your ID for the most basic things. You have to identify yourself for the most basic things in today's times, because again, fiat, if you want to receive fiat. So you got to show your ID if you want to cash your check. You got to show your ID if you want to pull out money, because of fiat. Once again, all these rules and regulations have been placed to regulate the fiat notes. But these rules and regulations do not apply when it comes to cryptocurrency, and it does not apply when it comes to infamy. So getting back to the main topic of why infamy over fame. Again, fame requires you to reveal your location. You have to let people know where you are. You have to let people know what you're doing. You have to constantly put yourself out there. With infamy, You can sit back and gain power. You don't have to do that. See, it's one thing to do it when you have to do it, when it's survival. When you're doing it for survival, that's one thing. But when you are doing other things, now you do it at your leisure, at your own discretion, meaning you don't have to reveal who you are, meaning you can come to the internet and no one ever know who you are. And you don't ever have to reveal. Like no one can make you take off your mask. No one is never going to come to a point where you're going to need to reveal your identity unless you choose to do so. It will be at your own discretion, not because you have to, because that's what the rules say. The rules say you have to flash your ID, so you have to flash it. Those days and times are over once you move beyond Fiat. Shalom X24. So, once again, I'm giving you guys this revelation because you will see more and more in this come in the future. I just have been able to put this together because I'm looking at everything from all sides. When it comes to infamy, since you no longer have to show your identity or reveal who you are unless you want to, this gives you so much power. I cannot begin to tell you how much power it gives you when you do not have to reveal who you are, when you could just walk around with a mask or drive around with a mask. You don't have to reveal your identity. You know how much power that gives you? I appreciate the donation. Cuaba El Rey, I appreciate you. Salute to you. Baphomet, he's the cause of the New World Order. The master architect is Saturn. Baphomet is a symbol of Saturn. There's many more dimensions to Baphomet, but we don't have to reveal those secrets on this particular video. And that's essentially, again, I don't want to make this too complex. I just wanted to give you guys an overall view of where I'm getting at. The power that you obtain when you can maintain your secrecy, when you do not have to reveal who you are, when you can move and navigate the world at your discretion. You can move through various avatars. You can be multiple people. See, people are doing this now, but again, you still have to, it still comes to a point where you have to flash your ID at some point. So even if you have 12 accounts, let's just say at the point where you want to withdraw some money, you're going to have to verify with some ID. So you're going to have to use the same ID for 12 accounts. But again, that's fiat. That's not crypto. Crypto allows you to do things that you cannot do on fiat. But there is a sacrifice. There is a learning curve. Like you're not going to understand crypto overnight. Sub 13 or Orny 13. You're not going to understand this overnight. It's a learning curve. But if you dedicate the time, because Saturn represents time, if you dedicate the time and the effort, it will pay off because you understand what the spirit of the people wants. This is deeper than what people want on a personal level. We're talking about the overall spirit of the people. We're talking about who does not want to be liberated. We all want liberation, but we have to place ourselves in a sovereign position because no one is going to give us sovereignty. Sovereignty is not going to be handed to us. It has to be established. Saturn allows us to establish that sovereignty. I would love for you to do a video on Baphomet. I probably won't do a video on Baphomet just simply because there's things about that have yet to be revealed because I have not seen or heard it be revealed. Right? What I mean is this. You have the original creation of what the symbol meant in the 19th century by Eulyptus Levi, the creator of the Baphomet. You have the original meaning, of course. but the meaning begins to evolve because we are 2 centuries detached from the 19th century. So the 19th century version has a different meaning than the 21st century version. And what I mean the 21st century version is the original meaning may not have been placed into the lexicon, meaning the original. For example, let me give you a perfect example. Like you may create a drawing with symbols that mean something to you, but long after you're gone and people are studying your works and they have their own symbolism to pull from, they're going to come to a different conclusion because they're not pulling from the same symbols you're pulling from. They have a whole different set of symbols that has been revealed to them in their course of study. So because we are in the 21st century, we have a whole different set of symbols to choose from, meaning we know what they knew in the 19th century plus what they didn't know in the 19th century, right? The occult breakdown of snitching would be interesting. That's pretty straightforward. I think that's pretty straightforward. And when I say that, I mean it's not for you to reveal the secret when your hands are dirty. It's just as simple as that. You keep your mouth shut because you are not innocent yourself. It's very simple. Why would you tell on someone else when you are engaging yourself? Numerology wise, I mean, everything has many layers. As for example, a line from Machiavelli. You may be deep in the game, but you have the rules missing. This explains where we are now. Meaning, people are in the game. We are all in the game. We are all in the matrix, right? We are all in the matrix, but very few of us understand how the matrix works, right? We are all in the matrix, but very few of us understand the inner mechanisms. The reason why very few of us understand the inner mechanisms is because you're not supposed to reveal the way it works. What do I mean? If you have secrets, it's not for you to put the secrets out into the public because the public is going to just dismantle the truth. In other words, they say don't cast pearls before swine. All they're going to do is scrutinize it. When you cast something that's secret to the public, all the public is going to do is scrutinize it and dismantle it and toss it aside. They do it every time. Every time something is secret and the secret comes out and it gets to the public, what does the public do with that secret? They tear it apart, eat it up, spit it out, toss it to the side. That's what the public does. So we keep the secret, not necessarily for our sake, because we want to follow some rules or regulations. We understand that it is a chain reaction. For example, even if you don't have anything to do with crime, but crime is happening around you, but again, you don't participate in crime, but happens around you. Even if you are not involved, you still are obligated to silence because you have to live there. If you cause someone to lose their life, whether jail or bodily death, then the consequences are going to fall on your shoulders. So it's best to keep the secret, because you know if you reveal the secret, it's going to be some dire consequences for you revealing that secret. There is nothing to gain by revealing the secret, even though you play absolutely no parts. You will not gain because they're not going to like your actions. The people who actually live there. Again, we don't have to get into the mechanisms. We're all in the matrix, but very few of us know the rules. Those of us who know the rules can glitch the matrix. The matrix glitchers knows how the matrix works. That's the thing. You can glitch it because you know how it works. You're not glitching it by accident. You're glitching it by intent. And the only way to glitch by intent is to know how it works. The only way to know how it works is to study Saturn or Satan, which is exactly why it's demonized and you're supposed to stay far away from it. It's supposed to have that veil of mystery to throw you off. It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be scary and spooky, and you're going to go to hell. It's supposed to do that because it's going to keep majority of the people away from it. It's supposed to have that reaction. It's supposed to make you feel that way. So this is what it is, because we're talking about infamy. You can't tell what you don't know. So you don't put people in a position to tell on you. They can't tell what they don't know. And everybody has a breaking point, right? We hear about people getting backdoored all the time. People getting tricked out of their position by people that were close to them. This happens every single day. People don't just get killed by their enemy. Friendly fire also occurs. But it's because we open up ourselves to the fire that the potential takes place. However, this is what I'm saying. If no one knows who you are, no one can be tempted to tell on you, because you're not holding no one to a code. Okay, well, if you tell on me, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to shoot you, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're basically forcing people to keep the secret with fear. That's how it has been done in the past. If you do it, then there's going to be consequences. However, if you don't put people in that situation in the first place, even if they were tempted to tell, they will have nothing to reveal. And to me, what is more occult than that? What is more occult than a person is tempted and they still have nothing to give in terms of information about you? You can have $1 million on the table and they can't even take it because they truly have no idea. Versus, oh, they're going to take that because their loyalty to you isn't that deep. That's how it goes every single day. That's Saturn. That's the hard truth. The hard truth is we implode on ourselves. We do ourselves more damage than we do to the outer reality. Again, we have to be sovereign. And when you are sovereign, you don't put people in position to say anything about you. Because if nobody knows anything, no one can be tempted to speak. That way you don't have fear over anyone's head. You no longer rule by fear. You can rule off of love because no one knows anything. So no one can say anything. So you can be merciful instead of having to have the arm of justice. You can be merciful. You don't have to think about who you're going to shoot, who you're going to kill, who you're going to hurt, because no one's going to say anything because no one knows anything. No one's going to. You can't. Who you don't even have to think in this direction. The only reason you have to think in this direction is you're seeking fame. You're trying to get your face. You're trying to get famous off of your face. Once we move beyond trying to get famous off of the face, which is just an illusion, this is not our real self, this is not who we are, this is our projection. Once we move beyond the projection, like, okay, the mask is an entity in and of itself that's separate than the face. If I put on a mask right now, I become something else. If you put on a mask right now, you become something else other than when you take the mask off. That is not the same energy. It is a different energy. When you cover that face up, when you cover your identity, if you put a mask on, that is a different energy. That is not the same energy when you have your whole face revealed. That is a different currency. Because of that, you begin to cultivate your infamy. You begin to cultivate your identity behind the mask. See, the average person, because they're egomaniacs, there's nothing behind the actual face. If they were to cover up their face, they feel like they lose power. That's how the average person will feel. If they cover up their face, they can't show their face, they feel like something is being taken from them. They don't feel like they're gaining power, they feel like power is being taken from them. However, if you understand the power that you gain in your infamy, then you have unlocked the secret. If you can see the power that's gained and remaining hidden, remaining behind the scenes. Because again, I think somebody mentioned the NWO, the New World Order. These people don't reveal who they are. No one's walking around talking about they're a part of the Illuminati. They're a part of the Skull and Bones. No one's walking around revealing their identity. So there are people already doing this in real time. This is what a secret society is. This is already happening in real time. The average person just doesn't know how to operate. But a real occultist, the people that's really in power, they can walk right past you and you don't know who they are. It's like the people who really have power in this world, they can walk right past you and you would not know who they are. We can notice all the people who appear to be powerful, but they only appear to be powerful, but they don't have the real power. The people who have the real power, there is not a face attached to these people, unless you actually know these people. But the public doesn't know these people. There is no public face attached to actual power. Real power is concealed behind an avatar. The mask gives me a rebellious bandit energy because it is a different spirit. If you put on the mask, you are taken upon a different spirit. It is as simple as that. You either feel as if you gain or you feel as if you lose. If you can balance yourself, then you will see the power. So does wearing a hood. Okay. So you see, you guys are already seeing where I'm going with this. You see what it does. Yes, exactly. When you cover up, so you already see where I'm going with this. This is the power. If you can find the power in infamy, you can find the power in sovereignty. It is just that simple. Okay? I think I made my point. All right, so we're gonna check out. I'll try to hit you guys back tomorrow. AshraNew.com 93.